morning. This is Kim Blaylock with SDG Bible Study. That's the Soli Deo Gloria Bible Study coming to you on this Friday morning, April the 3rd, 2026, Good Friday, the day that we remember the price that our Savior paid on Calvary when he took the sins of the world upon himself on the cross, took my sin and yours, nailing it to the tree. A sad day in history, but a remarkable and wondrous day for the believer. I hope you're celebrating it today by commemorating that price that he paid. But this morning we will continue reading from As It Happened, a one-year walk chronologically through the Bible, and then Daily Doctrine, a one-year guide to systematic theology. This morning we'll be in the book of Judges, chapters 10, 11, and 12. So join me as we read God's word together. Judges chapter 10. Then after Abimelech died, Tola, the son of Puah, the son of Dodo, a man of Issachar, arose to save Israel, and he lived in Shamir in the hill country of Ephraim. And he judged Israel 23 years. Then he died and was buried in Shamir. After him, Jair, the Gileadite, arose and judged Israel 22 years. And he had 30 sons who rode on 30 donkeys. And they had 30 cities in the land of Gilead that are called Havioth Jair to this day. And Jair died and was buried in Kamon. Then the sons of Israel again did what was evil in the eyes of Yahweh, and served the Baals and the Ashtaroth, the gods of Aram, the gods of Sidon, the gods of Moab, the gods of the sons of Ammon, and the gods of the Philistines. Thus they forsook Yahweh and did not serve him. So the anger of Yahweh burned against Israel, and he sold them into the hands of the Philistines and into the hands of the sons of Ammon. And they shattered and smashed the sons of Israel that year. For 18 years they did this to all the sons of Israel who were beyond the Jordan, in Gilead, in the land of the Amorites. Then the sons of Ammon crossed the Jordan to fight against Judah, Benjamin, and the house of Ephraim, so that Israel was greatly distressed. And the sons of Israel cried out to Yahweh, saying, We have sinned against you, for indeed we have forsaken our God and served the Baals. Then Yahweh said to the sons of Israel, Did I not save you from the Egyptians, the Amorites, the sons of Ammon, and the Philistines? Also the Sidonians, the Amalekites, and the Maonites oppressed you, and you cried out to me, and I saved you from their hand. Yet you have forsaken me and served other gods. Therefore I will no longer save you. Go and cry out to the gods which you have chosen. Let them save you in the time of your distress. Then the sons of Israel said to Yahweh, We have sinned. So you do to us whatever seems good in your eyes. Only please deliver us this day. So they removed the foreign gods from among them and served Yahweh, and he can bear the trouble of Israel no longer. Then the sons of Ammon were summoned, and they camped in Gilead. And the sons of Israel gathered together and camped in Mizpah. And the people, the princes of Gilead, said to one another, Who is the man who will begin to fight against the sons of Ammon? He shall become head over all the inhabitants of Gilead. Judges chapter 11. Now Jephthah the Gileadite was a mighty man of valor, but he was the son of a harlot. And Gilead became the father of Jephthah. And Gilead's wife bore him sons, and when his sons grew up, they drove Jephthah out and said to him, You shall not have an inheritance in our father's house, for you are the son of another woman. So Jephthah fled from his brothers and lived in the land of Tob, and worthless fellows gathered themselves about Jephthah, and they went out with him. Now it happened after a while that the sons of Ammon fought against Israel. So it happened that as the sons of Ammon fought against Israel, the elders of Gilead went to get Jephthah from the land of Tob. And they said to Jephthah, Come and be our chief, that we may fight against the sons of Ammon. Then Jephthah said to the elders of Gilead, Did you not hate me and drive me from my father's house? So why have you come to me now when you are in distress? And the elders of Gilead said to Jephthah, "For this reason we have now returned to you, that you may go with us and fight with the sons of Ammon and become head over all the inhabitants of Gilead." So Jephthah said to the elders of Gilead, "If you take me back to fight against the sons of Ammon, and Yahweh gives them up to me, will I become your head?" And the elders of Gilead said to Jephthah, "Yahweh is witness between us. Surely we will do as you have said." Then Jephthah went with the elders of Gilead, and the people made him head and chief over them. And Jephthah spoke all his words before Yahweh at Mizpah. And Jephthah sent messengers to the king of the sons of Ammon, saying, "What is between you and me that you have come to me to fight against my land?" Then the king of the sons of Ammon said to the messengers of Jephthah, "Because Israel took away my land when they came up from Egypt, from the Arnon as far as the Jabbok and the Jordan. So now return them peaceably." But Jephthah sent messengers again to the king of the sons of Ammon, and they said to him, "Thus says Jephthah, Israel did not take away the land of Moab, nor the land of the sons of Ammon. For when they came up from Egypt, and Israel went through the wilderness to the Red Sea, and came to Kadesh, then Israel sent messengers to the king of Edom, saying, Please let us pass through your land. But the king of Edom would not listen. And they also sent to the king of Moab, but he was not willing. So Israel remained at Kadesh. Then they went through the wilderness and around the land of Edom and the land of Moab, and came to the east toward the sunrise of the land of Moab, and they camped beyond the Arnon. But they did not enter the territory of Moab, for the Arnon was the border of Moab. And Israel sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Amorites, the king of Heshbon. And Israel said to him, Please let us pass through your land to our place. But Sihon did not believe Israel to allow them to pass through his territory. So Sihon gathered all his people and camped in Jahaz and fought with Israel. Then Yahweh, the God of Israel, gave Sihon and all his people into the hand of Israel, and they struck them down. So Israel possessed all the land of the Amorites, the inhabitants of that country. So they possessed all the territory of the Amorites from the Arnon as far as the Jabbok, and from the wilderness as far as the Jordan. So now Yahweh, the God of Israel, dispossessed the Amorites from before his people Israel. Are you then to possess it? Do you not possess what Chemosh, your God, gives you to possess? So whatever Yahweh, our God, has taken possession of before us, we will possess it. So now, are you any better than Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab? Did he ever strive with Israel, or did he ever fight against them? While Israel lived in Heshbon and its towns, and in Aroer and its towns, and in all the cities that are on the banks of the Arnon, 300 years, why did you not deliver them for yourself within that time? I, therefore, have not sinned against you, but you are doing me evil by making war against me. May Yahweh, the judge, judge today between the sons of Israel and the sons of Ammon. But the king of the sons of Ammon did not listen to the words which Jephthah sent him. Now the Spirit of Yahweh came upon Jephthah, so that he passed through Gilead and Manasseh. Then he passed through Mizpah of Gilead, and from Mizpah of Gilead he went on to the sons of Ammon. Then Jephthah made a vow to Yahweh and said, If you will indeed give the sons of Ammon into my hand, then it shall be that whatever comes out of the doors of my house to meet me when I return in peace from the sons of Ammon, it shall be Yahweh's, and I will offer it up as a burnt offering. So Jephthah crossed over to the sons of Ammon to fight against them, and Yahweh gave them into his hand. And he struck them with a very great slaughter from Aroer to the entrance of Minnith, 20 cities as far as Abel Keramim. So the sons of Ammon were subdued before the sons of Israel. Then Jephthah came to his house at Mizpah, and behold, his daughter was coming out to meet him with tambourines and with dancing. Now she was his one and only child. Besides her, he had no son or daughter. So it happened that when he saw her, he tore his clothes and said, Alas, my daughter, you have brought me very low, and you are among those who trouble me. but I have opened my mouth to vow to Yahweh, and I cannot take it back. So she said to him, My father, you have opened your mouth to vow to Yahweh. Do to me according to what has gone out from your mouth, since Yahweh has avenged you of your enemies, the sons of Ammon. Then she said to her father, Let this thing be done for me. Let me alone 2 months, that I may go to the mountains and weep because of my virginity, I and my companions. Then he said, Go. So he sent her away for 2 months, and she went with her companions and wept on the mountains because of her virginity. And it happened at the end of the 2 months that she returned to her father, and he did to her according to the vow which he had made, and she did not know a man. Thus it became a custom in Israel that the daughters of Israel went yearly to commemorate the daughter of Jephthah the Gileadite 4 days in the year. Judges chapter 12. Then the men of Ephraim were summoned, and they crossed to Zaphon and said to Jephthah, Why did you cross over to fight against the sons of Ammon, but did not call us to go with you? We will burn your house down on you. Then Jephthah said to them, I and my people were at great strife with the sons of Ammon. And I cried out to you, but you did not save me from their hand. And I saw that you would not save me, so I took my life in my hands and crossed over against the sons of Ammon. And Yahweh gave them into my hand. Why then have you come up to me this day to fight against me? Then Jephthah gathered all the men of Gilead and fought Ephraim, and the men of Gilead struck Ephraim down because they said, You are fugitives of Ephraim, O Gileadites, in the midst of Ephraim and in the midst of Manasseh. And the Gileadites captured the fords of the Jordan opposite Ephraim. And it happened when any of the fugitives of Ephraim said, Let me cross over, the men of Gilead would say to him, Are you an Ephraimite? If he said no, then they would say to him, Say now, Shibboleth. But he said Sibboleth, for he could not pronounce it correctly. Then they seized him and slaughtered him at the fords of the Jordan. Thus there fell at that time 42,000 of Ephraim. And Jephthah judged Israel 6 years. Then Jephthah the Gileadite died and was buried in one of the cities of Gilead. Then Ibzan of Bethlehem judged Israel after him, and he had 30 sons and 30 daughters, whom he gave in marriage outside the family. And he brought in 30 daughters from outside for his sons, and he judged Israel 7 years. Then Ibzan died and was buried in Bethlehem. Then Elon the Zebulunite judged Israel after him, and he judged Israel 10 years. And Elon the Zebulunite died and was buried at Aijalon in the land of Zebulun. Then Abdon the son of Hillel the Pirathonite judged Israel after him, and he had 40 sons and 30 grandsons who rode on 70 donkeys, and he judged Israel 8 years. Then Abdon, the son of Hillel, the Pirathonite, died and was buried at Pirathon in the land of Ephraim in the hill country of the Amalekites. And that's going to conclude our reading from the biblical text this morning. Now we will move on to the reading from Daily Doctrine. Berith and Diatheke, day 93. The Hebrew word for covenant is berith, and the Greek word is diatheke. Both are normally translated as covenant in modern English versions of the Bible, though they haven't always been understood as meaning the same thing. The Latin word for covenant is foedus, which is why covenant theology is sometimes called federal theology. Everyone agrees that berith should be translated as covenant, but scholars have not always agreed whether the Greek idea of diatheke refers to a covenant, a testament like a last will and testament that disposes of someone's possessions upon death, or something in between. Many older theologians assumed that the use of diatheke in the New Testament could refer, at least some of the time, to a last will and testament. Indeed, while the King James Version often translates diatheke as covenant, it uses the word testament 14 times. The RSV translates all of the uses of diatheke as covenant, except for Hebrews chapter 9, verse 16. The ESV uses will for diatheke in verses 16 and 17. Given the statement that a diatheke takes effect only at death, chapter 9, verse 17, it's possible that a will or testament is in view. There are other reasons, however, to think that even in Hebrews chapter 9, the author is thinking of a covenant rather than a last will and testament. Number one, the use of diatheke in verse 15 and verses 18 through 21 clearly refers to a covenant. The burden of proof rests with those who want to make the same word mean something different in verses 16 and 17. Number two, the word death, nekroi, in the first half of verse 17 could be translated dead bodies, referring to the slain animals often present in ancient covenant ceremonies. Number three, the second half of verse 17 could refer to a symbolic death, namely the one who makes a covenant must die because he swears a self-maledictory oath should he break the covenant. Number four, crucially, more recent New Testament scholars argue that Greek testaments did not work like our last will and testament. They did not require death for the inheritance to be distributed. Think, for example, of the parable of the prodigal son. In other words, we should see diatheke throughout the New Testament as largely synonymous with bereath from the Old Testament. Even if we see the testamentary idea instead of covenant in a few places in the New Testament, and many of the best theologians, for example, Calvin, Turretin, and Whitsius, have, we should not confuse the two ideas, but relate to death. Both relate to death. But in a covenant, death stands at the beginning of the agreement, symbolized as potential cursing. Whereas in a testament, death stands at the end of the relationship. Death activates a testament, while death vindicates a covenant. In a testament, death is presumed. In a covenant, there is the option of life or death. Most importantly, remember that Christ understood his death in covenantal terms. Our salvation is nothing less than fulfillment of covenant theology. The death of our covenant-keeping Christ through the shed blood of the covenant of grace is as a substitutionary sacrifice for God's covenant-breaking people. And that's going to conclude our reading from the biblical text and Daily Doctrine this morning. And as we read in Daily Doctrine, the idea of differentiating covenant between testament, I'm thankful this morning that we have that covenant because of what Christ accomplished on the cross and that covenant breaking, that his death brings us life. We don't end in death in that covenant because we should be cursed and we're not. So thankful for that. And then this morning in the reading for the book of Judges, it's always challenging for me in reading about Jephthah, how God used him, but also Jephthah's vow, trying to wrap my mind around why that even happened. Remember, not all texts are prescribed texts. In other words, not things that are prescribed for us to do. They're descriptive, and I believe that's the case at this time. And also remember in the book of Judges, every man does right in his own eyes. So this is not something that God told Jephthah to do. Keep that in mind. I hope you have a blessed day today. Remember, commemorate that this day, Good Friday, because of the sacrifice our Savior made. Have a blessed day. Soli Deo Gloria.